Hello and welcome to Byju's IAS. Before we start with our today's session, a gentle reminder to register yourself for the Byju's National Scholarship Test, which is scheduled to be conducted on 8th of August 2021. The last date for registration is tomorrow, which is 7th of August 2021, and you have to register yourself before 11 a.m. Do register in the link given in the description box and stand a chance to win a scholarship for the Byju's classes. Let's get started and look into the first article. The first article says, not always fair game. The article here is speaking about gambling. What is the background to this article? Tamil Nadu government had recently introduced Tamil Nadu Gaming and Police Laws Amendment Act of 2021. What was this act all about? This had imposed ban on online games such as Rummy and Poker, where it imposed a complete ban on the cyberspace. People may not be able to play this particular game according to the imposition laid under this act. So all those people who were investing money on the online cyberspace by playing rummy and poker, that was banned in the state of Tamil Nadu. Why did the government come up with such a legislation? That is because the government believes that there are youngsters, there are also senior citizens as well. They have earned a lot of money. The hard-earned money as well as their savings was being spent on these online games like rummy as well as poker. This is a hard-earned money, and the government believes that large number of people are losing their money on rummy as well as poker, which is why the government had to come up with a law because it was equivalent to that of gambling. Because people play on the online forums, they invest their money on these online forums, they have lost their money on these online forums. This is equivalent to gambling, which is why it has to be regulated. So the Tamil Nadu government comes up with a legislation. This legislation is called as Tamil Nadu Gaming and Police Laws Amendment Act of 2021. Everything was going good, but then we have one of the petitioners who goes to the Madras High Court. He files a case against this legislation. So what were the viewpoints of the petitioner? The petitioner says we have the rummy clubs, that is on the offline pattern where clubs are created for playing of rummy. When that is given permission by the government, why not online rummy circle? So when the government is giving permission, when there are clubs that are open, when it is working on the offline forum where people are able to meet physically and play rummy, why is that there is an imposition of ban on the online forum? That was the first point made by the petitioner. Added to this, when it comes to gambling, it is a subject which is present in the 7th schedule in the state list. So who would be able to make laws? It is the state governments. So it is the state governments who would be able to make laws because gambling is a matter of 7th schedule in the state list. When other states in India do not have any bar on rummy or poker, when other states are not imposing any ban because they believe it is a game of skill and not a game of chance, it is only the Tamil Nadu government which has imposed such a restriction. So the petitioner says the Madras High Court will have to look into it because no other state in India has imposed such a ban. The petitioners argue in every other state we do operate as well. No other state does ban in this particular way, but the Tamil Nadu government has banned online rummy as well as poker, which means to say this is not right, which is the viewpoint of the petitioner. So it ultimately goes to the Madras High Court. So the Madras High Court in this case has struck down the Tamil Nadu Gaming and Police Laws Amendment Act. Why has the Madras High Court struck down this law introduced by the Tamil Nadu government? Before we understand this, we have to understand the legality behind this legislation. When it comes to the gambling, as I have told you, it is present in the state list. So who would be able to make laws? It is the state government. Every state can make laws with respect to gambling. There are games in gambling which is called as the games of skill. Then there are other games which is called as games of chance. What is this games of skill? Let's say for example, I am playing chess with another person. Is this a game of chance? No. Why? Because there is something called as the logic that works in a chess. Then there is intelligence that also works as well. There are moves that are planned by the party as well as the other opposition party. So what happens in the games of skill? There is complete intelligence that comes into picture. So according to the Supreme Court judgments in the past, if it is a game of skill, that should not be regulated by the government, says the Supreme Court of India. One such example example is the chess. So the Supreme Court, in one of the landmark judgments of State of Andhra Pradesh versus K. Narayanan and others, has again clarified that Rummy also happens to be a game of skill. Why? Because they make use of their intelligence. There is a skill that is required. They have to make use of their logic as well. So this is not a game of chance, but instead a game of skill. So when it comes to the game of skill, this need not be regulated by the state governments. It is completely legal, says the Supreme Court of India. So what is this games of chance? Let's say for example, there is one of the game which works purely on the basis of luck. Let's say for example the Andar Bahar, or let's say for example there are other games like the Teen Pati. These are something which works entirely on luck. There is no logic involved, but it is surely because of luck of that person or the card that placed in front of that person. So in the case of games of chance, the Supreme Court has said this can be regulated. It can be declared as illegal by the state government, but since there are games of skill which involves logic, intelligence and also planning, this need not be regulated and it can be legal, says the Supreme Court of India. So the Supreme Court of India in the state of Andhra Pradesh versus K. Satyanarayanan and others has clearly specified that Rummy is one of the games of skill and it is not a games of chance. So it need not be regulated. It can be legalized. It can come into picture. People can play this game. It can also make money as well, said the Supreme Court of India. Taking this as the precedent, we have the Madras High Court in the present situation, which has gone ahead and said if this game of skill is stopped, this means it is violating Article 19 of 1 of G of the Constitution, which speaks about profession. So what does the Madras High Court said? As of now, we have Article 19 of 1 of G, which speaks about profession, where a person would be able to engage in trade, where a person would be able to practice a particular profession. Since the game of skill is one of intelligence, if a person is making money from this game of skill, if there is a ban on this game, it means there is a violation of right to profession, says the Madras High Court. And going by the previous judgments of the Supreme Court, the Madras High Court has considered that the game of skill need not be regulated. Even if it is regulated, it should not impose complete ban, says the Madras High Court. Added to this, the Madras High Court has also clarified if the state government wants to come up with a law, wants to regulate it, it can go ahead with the legislation, but this should be in conformity with the constitutional principles and the judgments laid by the Supreme Court of India. So what is the inference we can draw? Yes, the intention of the state government can be very pure. All it wanted to make sure that hard-earned money of the people is not put into gambling. But at the same time, there is a structure as well which is already been laid by the Supreme Court of India. There are legal paradigms which are already established by the Supreme Court of India. The Supreme Court of India is the guardian of the fundamental right. If the right to profession is being violated, in this case the Madras High Court has done something right, says this article. So basically, whenever there is a law that is passed by the respective governments, it should not be contrary to the judicial pronouncement, says this article. So going forward, any appropriate legislation regulating the betting and gambling activities, if it is coming into picture, it has to conform to the constitutional propriety, says this article. It is this that we have to understand in reference to this article. Now let's look into the next article. This article says India-Nepal flood management needs course correction. What is this article speaking about? The article here is speaking about large number of floods that take place in the region of Bihar. So this article here speaks about why floods occur in the state of Bihar, what are the structural and the non-structural measures taken by the government in the past, and what needs to be done going forward when it comes to managing and mitigating the impact of floods. First up, what we have to understand is what causes floods in Bihar. There are multiple reasons to it. There are internal reasons, there are also external reasons to it. What are the external reasons? As we all know, we have Nepal on the northern side to Bihar. Bihar is one of the bordering states with Nepal as well. And as we also know from the physical features, Nepal is a mountainous region. When heavy rains occur in the mountains of central and eastern part, all the water that is present in Nepal flows through Bihar as well. Why? Bihar is a plain region, Bihar is a lowland as well, and this is a mountain region which is in the higher region. So as it flows from the region of Nepal to the region of Bihar, this also causes excessive flooding. And with time, what is happening? There are forests that are being converted into agricultural lands, into the pasture land, both in Nepal as well as in Bihar, which means that these forests which are obstructing the flow of water is no more present in Nepal as well as in India. So this means there is more water flow that could happen in Bihar. So this is on one side external factor. On the other side, it is also due to internal factor as well. One, there are forest areas which are converted into agricultural lands in the external sector, which is in Nepal, and internally as well the same is being replicated in Bihar. So on both the sides, because there is large scale deforestation that is happening, they are being converted for the agricultural use. This has ensured that there is excessive floods that happen in the state of Bihar. Added to this, what we have is the floodplains. These are the regions which happen along the river. If this is the course of the river, the plains in and around this particular region is what is called as the floodplain. So if there is excessive water, it may go to this region as well. But what is happening of late? People have also started occupying these regions in Bihar as well as in Nepal. So whenever there is excessive floods or heavy rainfall in this region, there is a natural flow for this river. It may enter into the floodplain, but that plain is also currently being occupied by the people both in Nepal as well as Bihar. So where will the river flow? Which is why there is excessive flood, which is why there is loss of life, which is why there is loss of property. This has resulted in economic damage, and ultimately people are the major sufferers. On one side, there is emotional trauma that they go through because they would have lost their near and dear ones. On the other side, there is economic stress as well because they have lost their property. In order to overcome all these issues in the past, several governments in Bihar, even ones headed by Nitish Kumar ji, have been trying to come up with some disaster mitigation steps. So what are these disaster mitigation steps? This can be divided into two parts. One can be the structural measures, the other is the non-structural measures, because the state of Bihar is going through a lot of stress because of the flood-like conditions, which is resultant of external factor as well as the internal factor. They are coming up with some strategies. One such strategy is what is called as the structural changes. What are these structural changes? These are the physical construction that happens in a region. Let's say to mitigate the impact of all the hazards that take place in a region, there is construction that happens, there is technology that pictures in, there is engineering technique that happens. So what we have is a physical structure that comes into picture. Let's say we are constructing a dam. There is a physical structure. So what we have is a structural change that is made. So if there is a water that is rushing through, what we build is a dam in this locality so that the water stays in that part of the region. So when a physical structure is made to prevent excessive flood in a particular locality, that is what is called as structural measures. So a structural measure is where there is a physical construction to reduce or avoid the impact of the natural disaster. Apart from this, we can make use of the detention basins. There is creation of embankments as well, and channel improvement that also happens as part of the structural measures. Added to these structural measures, the government in the past has also introduced the non-structural measures. What are these non-structural measures? Let's say, for example, flood forecasting and warning. People should have an idea that in the next 24 hours or in the next 1 week, what we will have is excessive rain. This can result in flood in a region. So they should be given an awareness. They should be provided a public awareness. They should be given a warning that please don't step out or move from away from this region. So this is what is called as flood forecasting. This is what what is called as warning. Messages are sent to them. It is broadcasted as well. Mobile communications are sent to them. So basically, we are flood fighting in this situation by giving flood warning as well as flood forecasting. We are also evacuating people from this region. We are also providing shelter so that these people are lifted from this locality and moved to a safer zone. So on one side, what you have is a physical structure that is constructed on the structural measure. On the other side, you are ensuring there is mitigation of the problem. How? By giving other sources of information as well. Public awareness, training to the people, flood forecasting and warning, and flood proofing as well, evacuating and providing them shelter is part of the non-structural measures. So the governments in Bihar in the past have ensured that both structural measures are taken, both the structural and non-structural measures are taken so that they could mitigate the impact of flood. But in spite of all these measures, people are still suffering from the perennial flooding, especially in the northern Bihar. So where is this northern Bihar? The one which is adjacent to Nepal, that is in the northern region. The people are suffering from perennial flooding. Added to this, there is no sense that is being made, says the article, on both the sides. We have policy makers on Nepal side, we have policy makers on Indian side in the state of Bihar. These people ideally will have to coordinate. Why? Because the river flows from the country of Nepal to Bihar. So what is happening is requirement of the coordination, requirement of data exchange, requirement of some institutional arrangements that is being done between Nepal and Bihar. In the present situation, such an arrangement is not working. Even if there is an existence of an institutional setup, data exchange may not be working out, and as a result, what we have is continued issue of perennial flooding in northern part of the Bihar, says this article. Added to this, whenever there are these physical structures that are constructed, this can also haunt the farming community as well. It at times may also result in droughts as well. So whenever there is a creation of an embankment, what we will see is sudden rush of the water might not happen. But whenever there is less flow of the water, ideal amount of water should go to the farming community. But since there is construction of the dam, construction of the embankments that happen along the flow of the river, this in certain situations can also result in drought-like conditions, or it may not aid the farming community. As a result, what we require is mutual coordination between the Indian government and the Nepali government. The Indian government will have to make Bihar the party to this particular agreement so that there is more coordination, data exchange, coherence, and ultimately all the distressing situations between the state of Bihar and Nepal will have to be bridged, says this article. So going forward, what we require is water cooperation. India and Nepal will have to engage in more dialogue. They have to exchange data. They require a long-term strategy of water management. More cooperation will have to be looked into both by Nepal as well as India, says this article. It is this that we have to understand in reference to this article. Now let's look into the next article. This article says Center moves to redact retrospective tax laws. What is this article speaking about? It is speaking about the introduction of the Tax Laws Amendment Bill of 2021. What is this bill all about? This will amend the Income Tax Act of 1961 and the Finance Act of 2012. Let us try and understand what is this bill all about. Back in the year 2012, the Government of India came up with the Finance Act of 2012. What was this in particular? This was in reference to the retrospective taxation. One such example that we can picture is in reference to the Vodafone case. The other is the Kane Energy case, where both these companies were made to pay retrospective taxes. So they had to pay the tax from the back date, not rather than the prospective nature of the taxation. So because these two companies had to pay on a retrospective basis, they went to the arbitration tribunal, and the minute they went to the international arbitration tribunal, that went in favor of Vodafone. The international tribunal also went in favor of Kane Energy. As a result, most of the companies felt that India does not have the environment for the investment, which is why the Government of India in the present situation has removed this so-called retrospective taxation. So what will happen with this amendment? Basically, all those charges, the retrospective taxation imposed on Vodafone or Kane Energy, and in the near future, such retrospective taxation will not be present, says the government of India with this introduction. The taxes that are already collected from companies like Vodafone and Kane Energy will also be repaid back to these companies without any interest, says this Taxation Laws Amendment Bill of 2021. So, what is the significance of this particular initiative? This will be a welcome step in India, as this reiterates the importance of certainty in tax laws. When there was retrospective taxation introduced, most of the companies, MNCs, companies, organizations which wanted to invest in India did not want to invest in India because they felt that India does not have the environment of investment. They also felt that India is not an attractive investment destination because it keeps changing its tax laws and imposes retrospective taxation as well. And now, with this particular step, India will regain the reputation as a fair and a predictable regime, apart from helping out and ending the unnecessary, prolonged, and expensive litigation process. All this will come to an end, and these two are the significant aspects when it comes to this particular legislation. More about this issue will be explained as part of our economy this week. Now let's look into the next article. This article says a guide to resolving the Assam Mizoram issue. This article is explained on 27th of July 2021. Kindly look into it to understand what is this issue all about. Now let's look into the mains practice question. Attempts to curb the growth of games of skill by making it illegal or classifying it as gambling are misdirected. Do you agree? Substantiate. Next question. Floods in Bihar have caused extensive damage. Discuss the possible reasons and suggest structural, non-structural and cooperative measures with Nepal to deal with floods. So please write all your answers on the comment section. You can also visit our website, write on our website as well. You can upload an image or put it on the comment section, have peer review discuss. And this is it for today. Thank you for watching. All the best.